Hello, everybody, and welcome to Benivo Bites. So it's a really exciting show for us today, and we've got Annabelle coming in and saying Benivo keeps me sane. I've lost that sentence. Benivo keeps me sane in this insane world. Looking forward to it. So we've got a really exciting show. I'm seeing a message coming in saying we're having trouble posting to LinkedIn. This may be a problem with LinkedIn. I'll ask my producer Tally to have a look at that and to see what happens. But it may be we've got a technical problem here coming on here. I'm going to bring Tally on screen. Okay. Tally, are we live? Is it working? We are live now.
Yes, we are live now.
Cool. I'll put you backstage again. Many thanks. Okay, so we had a problem there, everybody. It came up on our screen saying that we weren't being seen. So if you're out there in the audience, please give us your comments. Let us know you're out there. And that's one of the ways that we will know that we are absolutely live there. I see Stephanie Aker from Chicago. Great to see you. People are now beginning to come in from all over the world. So the technology now seems to be working, which is just wonderful. So we've got a great show for you today. Hiya, Chris Chalk coming in there from Atlanta. I think you are, Chris, if I'm right. And join the conversations, write in the comments box. Tell us what you're, where you are in the world, what you're thinking. So we've got Martin coming in from Huntsville, Alabama, and we've got an amazing show for you today. We're going to be talking about fintech for good, how we can use or how we have used fintech to help the situation in Ukraine. And it's an amazing story, actually, which my colleague Nitsan will be sharing, about how technology that we had developed was repurposed to help people in Ukraine. And it's been a massive effort, and has been, well, just a great way of giving back, but also a way of really helping people who are in need. And then next week, on the 27th of April, we're going to be talking about how to digitize the mobility operating model. And we're going to be joined by Jason Ward from EY, Wes Okamura, who used to be with EY, who is now a Benivo Strategy Council member, and Beth Nielsen, also from Benivo, talking about how you can digitize the mobility operating model, all aspects to it. So that's going to be really interesting, a bit of thought leadership as we actually start looking towards the future and what the future might hold for the world of global mobility. Now, as ever, at the start of the show, we always like to have a little bit of breaking news. So what's the news? What has been happening in this wonderful world of global mobility over the last 7 days? Well, let's have a look and hear our little video about what's going on in the world of mobility. So many congratulations to everybody who has moved job or has been promoted in the last 7 days. Really, really, many congratulations to all of you. And by the way, I think a lot of people know, but one of the benefits of this show is that not only do you get all this interesting information, but also you can get CPE credits. And we're delighted that we can offer CPE credits from Worldwide ERC, from SHRM, and from HRCI. Our good friends from ERC, Lynn Shotwell and her team, and of course our friends at Rocket Mortgage, who have given us the SHRM and the HRCI codes. So if you want those codes, I'll leave them up there for a moment, but there we are. You've got codes from HRCI, from SHRM, and of course GMS credits from, or GMS and CRP credits from Worldwide ERC. Really, really exciting to be able to get those codes out to you. So what I want to do now actually is let's move on to immigration. As ever, we have Julia Onslow Cole with us, and I'm excited to say that Julia's actually got some real breaking news about stuff that's going on in the world of mobility in the Middle East. So let's bring on Julia Onslow Cole. So you know how it is, everybody. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's give a really good old-fashioned welcome to Julia Onslow Cole. Julia, hi, how are you doing?
Very well, thanks.
And whereabouts are you today?
I'm in Dubai today. I'm in Dubai.
Okay. So you were in England last week and you're in Dubai this week, and where are you next week?
Dubai and Saudi.
Okay, so becoming a real Mid-East expert here. And it's the Middle East you're going to talk to us about today. And as I said in my introduction, You've got some breaking news for us.
Yes, I feel like the authorities here are just saving up their big announcements for every time I come, because every time I come, there seems to be a new big announcment.
Well, they know how important you are and how important this show is, so they want to time it.
Totally coincidental. Totally coincidental. But anyway, I'm just going to talk very briefly about Qatar, about the UAE, and about Saudi. So just starting with Qatar, and thank you so much to Azim Mahudin for his update and his insights. But the World Cup, as you know, the Football World Cup is taking place in Qatar on the 21st of November to the 18th of December. And we're really quite concerned that this is going to impact mobility. There's been no specific announcements, but there's been a few telltale signs that we're really quite concerned about. So the first is that we've noticed that for employees who have serviced accommodation where their leases are ending in October, they're having great difficulty renewing them past October. That's because that for the World Cup, Qatar are expecting between 1.5 and 2 million people, and they want to take those service departments from employees. And so this is putting quite a huge pressure on infrastructure, and people should be really aware of this.
So people need to book their accommodation.
Yes, and they need to, renew their leases early. And also, if they're moving people to Qatar, get on with it, do it soon and get your accommodation. And then the other thing is, on the official website, it actually popped up completely out of the blue. It said that citizens coming from Iran, Pakistan, or India on visas for arrival, which we think that's most people are going to come like that for the football, have to have a hotel book for their entire length of stay. And then when we started questioning it, that got withdrew from the website. But it really just shows you that if you have people in Qatar or you're thinking of moving someone, you've got to keep up to date with the website. You've got to be ready for any changes. You should really try and push through any applications you want to make now and get all the documents ready. And you should have very good communication with your stakeholders because this is really important. And I know we do have a lot of really great people that come and watch Benivo who are from moving companies, and this is their area. And I know that they would support me in saying that in actually in Dubai and the rest of the UAE, accommodation is also getting very scarce because a lot of companies are using the UAE and the remote working visa as a place to bring particularly Russian citizens. So there is a sort of, a bit of a regional squeeze on accommodation at the moment.
So this is going into the neighbouring countries as well as Qatar?
Yes, yes. So just talking about golden visas. So golden visas were first introduced in 2019. It's a fantastic category. It actually gives the holder 10 years residency, and it's just attached to them. So it's not a sponsored category. And yesterday, new implementing regulations were announced, which actually are likely to come in around September. And basically, it's kind of lowering the criteria to get a golden visa. It's really skill level 1 and 2, which is managerial and senior exec. And they've actually lowered the salary requirements quite significantly from 50,000 to 30,000 UAE dirhams. There's no age restriction. And also with the golden visa, you don't have to come back every 6 months to make sure you renew it. And then the second really big announcement is some more details of a policy that they loosely announced a few months ago, which was this green visa. Now, this green visa, again, is self-sponsored. It's for 5 years, and there's a much lower threshold of salary of 15,000 dirhams. So this is a huge, huge change because it's actually moving towards self-sponsored visas. And what we are really recommending is that companies, get ahead of this, get some policies in place and reach out to employees, because everyone's talking about it in the UAE. Everyone wants to know, what's happening. And, it's a really good opportunity to give your employees something and get ahead and make sure you've got policies around it. The second thing is just to remind people that some important labour law changes in the UAE, and there's a deadline of February 2023 for these changes, and particularly to move people away from unlimited contracts to limited contracts. Some employers are doing it on a renewal, or some are just sort of methodically going through the contracts, but just bear that in mind. It's a really important deadline. And finally, I just want to say something about Saudi Arabia. Now, there was this huge announcement, I think it was about a year ago, actually, that if you are a company and you want to do government work in Saudi Arabia, you want a government contract. And as I remember announcing it on Benivo at the time and explaining there's lots of opportunities because there's a lot of these giga projects, then you had to have your regional headquarters in Riyadh. And I think there was a lot of concern at the time about, well, what does this actually mean? And now we have new guidelines which show that it's not quite what it seemed at the outset. So you've got to have at least 2 countries in the Middle East reporting to the new head office in Saudi Arabia. And you need to be doing some management of strategic oversight there, but it could be just for one corporate function. So it could be just for finance or just for marketing or just for training. And then this all has to come into effect in 2024. So, in summary, it's not quite as it seemed at the outset. And companies, are restructuring their organizations to enable them to meet this requirement of this regional headquarters in Saudi Arabia so that they can continue to take advantage of bidding and winning Saudi Arabian government contracts.
Got it. So quite a nuanced situation there going on with those rules, and also a real sort of word to the wise, a warning about getting your accommodation booked and the issues surrounding the World Cup. So the World Cup clearly is not going to be just about soccer. It's going to be about all sorts of other mobility issues that are going to be knocked out of touch, into touch, if that's not mixing a metaphor between sports. So thank you so much, Julia, for your update. And we'll see you again next week back from Dubai. So everybody, hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button. Let's say a big thank you to Julia Onso Cole. And we're going to move on and we're going to welcome onto the stage our change maker for the day, who is the wonderful Elaine Sedgwick. So let's hear Elaine's story and the charity she supports. So say goodbye to Julia and let's say hello to Elaine. Elaine, welcome to Benivo Bites. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Brian. Really nice to be involved.
So tell me, where in the world are you today?
So I am in sunny Stratford-upon-Avon this morning, well, this afternoon. Headquarters, I work for Gymshark, and our headquarters are in Solihull, so not that far away from the office.
Okay, so I'm guessing that many people will have heard of Stratford-on-Avon, but for those who haven't, tell us what it's famous for.
Well, you can't escape Shakespeare here. So some of the residents perhaps get a bit tired of, if you order a plumber, it turns up and it'll be kind of Much Ado About Spanners or something. There's always a Shakespeare pun for every business here. But we're really happy to welcome the tourists back, because it's been a bit strange over the past 2 years without all the lovely tourists coming to see the Shakespeare hotspots.
Okay, and you work for Gymshark. Now, for those people that don't know Gymshark, just tell us a bit about what the company is and what it does.
Yeah, sure. So we were founded in 2012. We are an online fitness apparel business. So we make gym wear. Our goal is to unite the conditioning community, targeting to social natives, so people who have grown up with Instagram and Facebook. So slightly below my age range. But we're predominantly online, although we're opening up a retail space in Regent Street in London later this year. So it's very exciting for us.
Okay, so it's a company obviously that is really fast growth company. It must be very, very exciting. So tell us a bit about you. I mean, you've got a passion for technology and you're one of our change makers, and we really appreciate that. But tell us about your passion for technology and a bit about how you think technology can help mobility.
Well, I think I'm really pleased to be able to join this network of, what a great group of mobility professionals, and any opportunity to shape the future of technology for the mobility industry. I take. So it's really great to learn about the changes that Benivo are making, and hopefully be able to influence the direction of where we're going in the future.
Okay, and if anybody else wants to be a change maker, I've put the link up there at the bottom of the screen, and I'm sure we'll put it in the comments box too. Do approach us if you're interested in becoming a change maker. But Elaine, tell us, I mean, obviously there's two sides to being a change maker. One is we get the benefit of your expertise, which we truly admire. But secondly, of course, we give back to the community for a charity that is clear to your heart. And you've picked cancer research. So tell us a bit about the charity and why you picked that particular charity.
Sure. So it's really great to be able to support a charity. So I'm supporting Cancer Research UK, which is very close to my heart. My family has been personally affected by cancer, unfortunately, as I think have all of our families. It's great to be able to give back. My father-in-law unfortunately passed away a few years ago from cancer, and we try and support this charity as much as we can. It's also aligned to kind of the Gymshark values as well. We also support that charity within the company.
Okay, and great quality gear at Gymshark.
I'm loving the puns that are coming through on the comments. Really good Shakespeare puns.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep those Shakespeare puns coming. Okay, so thank you so much for being on the show. I understand actually that in the early part of your career, you were an accompanying spouse. And we might try and get you back on the show to talk about being an accompanying spouse, because you've lived that mobility life, haven't you? That perspective.
Yeah, I've been an expat myself. I've lived and worked in many countries, and only recently, to be honest, returned to the UK myself. And I did spend a year in China, in Shanghai, as an accompanying spouse. And I think that really adds to kind of my experience and what I bring as a global mobility manager. Obviously, that I empathise with families who are moving abroad, and would be willing to, I think, talk anyone's ear off about that experience.
Okay, well that's a date, Elaine. We're going to get you back on the show at some point for a longer segment in the future, when we're going to do a section on accompanying spouses and also maybe on the impact of having that personal experience on making you a better mobility professional. But we're now going to move on to a different section of the show. I want to bring our producer on, just to tell us about what's coming up. So I'll bring Tally on, and I'll say goodbye to you. So everybody, please, a big old-fashioned thank you to Elaine, and we'll see you at the end of the hour, Elaine. But thank you very much for being a change maker, and thank you very much for being on our show today. You take care.
Thank you, Elaine, and I'll be happy to join that show as a previously expat spouse myself. So definitely.
Yeah, you've lived in pretty much every country on the planet, haven't you?
Pretty much so, yeah. But
okay.
Brian, today I actually want to talk to our viewers and ask for your help in improving our show. So we meet everyone every week, and we really do our best to bring the most updated global mobility news and information, and to share the wisdom of leading professionals from the industry. But we want to do even better. So I'm going to share with our viewers in the comments a link to a survey that we started, in which we ask for your opinions on the topics that we choose. We're going to ask there on the guests that we bring to the show, even on the date and the time that we broadcast. And I'm really waiting to hear what our viewers are thinking and what could be the comments about the show. So I'm going to post that on the comments. And also, let's add that. Before I go, I want to quickly share a corporate-only event that is happening in a week from now, actually. And our wonderful Beth Nielsen will be waiting for you with a thorough demonstration of the Benivo platform and a comparison to other platforms on the market. So a very interesting and mind-opening demo. I really recommend joining it, and I'll be sending the comments, the link in the comments too.
Okay, so thank you so much for that, Tally. And yes, as Tally said, we've got the survey going live, or it's live now, and we'll be posting details out to you. Please do give us your feedback. This is our way of helping the mobility community come together, and really it would be so helpful if you could give us your views on changes you'd like to see, what works for you, what doesn't work. Just tell us how it is, so that we can make this show hopefully even better and bolder going forward. Anyway, many thanks as ever for you, Tally. I know you're hot off a plane yourself today, so you landed in time to get here. And we're now going to bring on Nitzan Yudan to talk about Fintech for Good, and we're going to get into that main section of the show today. Hey Nitzan, how you doing?
Hey Brian, and hi everyone. I'm doing very well. I do want to say that I feel that my sound might not coming across very well. So if it changes at any time, let me know. I'll switch a room.
Okay, your sound is okay at the moment, but I'll let you know if we have a sound problem. And I'm loving your virtual background. I know it's not your real apartment. You may wish it was, but it looks absolutely lovely. So Nitsa, let's talk a little bit about the technology that Benivo had developed and how it got repurposed when the war broke out in Ukraine to help supporting employees who were impacted by that war. So tell us a bit about the story, about what happened.
So the story starts with our passion about payments, and as part of the complete end-to-end solution we've built in Benivo, we've really started from payments and always been looking for ways to innovate payment solutions. And that means how that can happen faster, to more countries, automated, and into more methods, right? Because only sending money to bank account was not enough for many people, and we wanted to make sure that we support everyone. So we were on this journey, and by getting on this journey and building those capabilities and rolling those capabilities out for a few years now, we actually ended up adding a lot of value in an area we never thought we will add value. So I thought, maybe it's an interesting opportunity to kind of share a little bit how that came across. I'll just say before that, obviously, like everyone here, we are very concerned about the war and really looking forward for that to end and for peace to return. And many people and many organizations and many of our clients have done so much to support people impacted by the war that I'm very proud that we were able to do a bit, at least the bit that we could do to do that. So let me tell you a little bit about how it came about. It all started in where all good things happen. At least at Benivo, the exciting things happen at Friday at 6 p.m. or later on Friday, right? Just as we were looking
that
to
always the way, absolutely. If you want
as you look to wrap up your week, right? That's normally when it happens.
Yeah.
It happened to be.
Well, the good thing about Friday evening is there's only 2 working days left till Monday.
Exactly. I had exactly that. So that happened, and I got a call from a mobility leader who is not actually a client of Benivo, and it was about 24 hours after the war started, and he told me that they have a problem. They want to get money to people that are impacted by the war, that had to leave their home, that the bank system is not working anymore, and they can't get money to them. Right? And we are not their provider, so I knew they have an RMC in place. He said, yeah, but the RMC can only send money to the bank account. Bank accounts are not relevant at the moment. There's no point of sending money to the bank account because either it's been shut or not available or not enough cash to withdraw. It's not the right way to go about it. And also payroll couldn't solve it, because think about it. Have anyone on, I would love to hear it, and anyone on the show ever got payroll paid that is not to the bank account? Their salary paid not to the bank. That's how the system works. And suddenly where the bank account became non-relevant, that's been a bigger issue than at least I thought about. Maybe everyone else saw it coming, but I didn't see it coming.
You're right. I mean, it takes a situation like that to realize that what can you do when banks, we just rely on banks. So what can you do for payment solutions when banks are irrelevant? So that was the challenge. And tell me how the solution worked. Tell me a bit about it.
And the good news is that we were already able to support that, because every employee who uses Benivo can get access to funds either through their bank account or to a digital wallet such as PayPal or to a virtual card. So a virtual card is kind of a credit card that can be issued automatically and can be used in order to make online transactions. So that was already available. So I could give a very quick answer to that person saying, yes, we can help. And, I understand it's an emergency. So we are here to support. We're not looking to make any money. We're not going to charge anything on that. And then I had another team member got another call that was very similar to this one. And we realized that there is a bigger problem in the industry. And then when, you and I had a chat about it on Saturday and said, okay, let's maybe offer it to to the industry and see how we can help. And you posted on LinkedIn a post that really went viral.
It went crazy. I think it had, I can't remember the number, but I think it was well over 20,000, might even have been over 30,000 views. It just went absolutely crazy because no one else was doing it at the time, and it just seems such a obvious problem. How do you get money to people when you can't go to the bank or the bank account? And we had the solution, and it just needed repurposing.
Exactly, and we figured out a lot of companies were struggling, so we wanted to help. So we offer that support at no cost for employees.
And a lovely comment there from Annabelle on Lissi. Huge issue for us. Benivo stepped up to help. Thank you. Well, thank you, Annabelle, for letting us help you.
Yeah, and it was our way of helping. And when we realized that that was good, and it was easy for Brian, for you and me, because we're just saying to the world, oh, we'll help. But there is a whole team in Benivo that now had to provide support over the weekend to a large number of requests to get money. And we've also opened the ability in just over that weekend to get money into 2 more methods, which was to get cash, so notes in hand, which in situation of a crisis, nothing is better than cash. So we were able to support that and help companies send money to employees who had to flee their home, and now they are in a different country. Maybe they went to Georgia, to Poland, to another place, and now they can get even cash.
Yeah, because cash is important, because digital only works if you've got a power charger to charge up your mobile phone when you haven't got a dead phone. Yeah.
And that was the other thing we've done, right? We've introduced, can't see it now, yes, with my phone, sending money to the phone to top up Google Pay and Apple Pay, so employees can make immediate payment, and that's all instant funds available. So really dramatically changing the situation from someone who is stuck in another country, maybe they don't even speak the language, with no money, to actually, I have my money, I can start make payment, I can start organize and settle in, and it made a big impact. And I'm extremely proud of, I'll name a few people, Sophia and Barbara and Marta from our team that really still working on that. We've been helping to hundreds and hundreds of families to just go through these difficult times, and I'm admiring the team that has been doing that so dedicated.
Okay, and there are other things that we've been doing as well, haven't we, to help? So, I mean, one thing was supporting employees by getting fast payment solutions, but the other was, I think we created a special platform for people fleeing, in particular to Armenia, which is a very big country for us, of course.
Yeah, so I'll talk about that in a second. Just want to say that if you still have challenges with getting money to your employees, this support is still available and it's still free. Right, so just reach out to us. We are happy to support. There is the link here that Tali posted. We want to help. We're not looking for anything in return.
And that's open to anybody, whether they're a client or non-client of Benivo. And it's completely, there's no catches. It's a completely free service, no charges, no commissions, purely pro bono.
Good. So I think you mentioned, right, the support we were offering to people who moved to Armenia or had to arrive to Armenia, to Yerevan, and that was also a situation where we identify that we can add value there, because we have noticed a lot of people coming and getting into Armenia, and Armenia is not many. I hope most people who watch this show know that we are extremely proud that our code and our development is built by our in-house team in Armenia, who are doing fantastic work on our technology. So we know Armenia well, and our team knows Armenia very well. And what they've done is they've quickly launched a platform to welcome employees to Armenia. So a Benivo platform that have all the support and advice that someone needs to know when they move to a new location, with additional information, insights from people who live there. right? So that's kind of the classic Benivo. We were just opening it to everyone, not only to our clients, but to everyone who needed support and was moving to Armenia. And that was another way for us to support. And a third way we introduced to support was related to how employees are engaging with the platform. So as part of the Benivo experience, there is a welcome experience to the employees. Every employee gets a gift from their employer. We handle that, of course, but they get a gift and they choose a cause that they would like to support. So a charity, just like Elaine was talking about something that's close to her heart as part of a change maker, the same thing each employee who is relocating is choosing, and we donate to that cause on their behalf. And one of the things we've done is we've added the ability to choose to support employees impacted by the war in Ukraine, and as you can imagine, that became more and more popular.
I think this is something that Benivo does generally, which is not that well known in the industry, and it's worth maybe making a bit more of a song and dance about it, which is that every relocating employee is given a welcome gift as part of their employee experience. And as part of that, they can pay it forward and they can make a gift to a charity. And that's something we've been doing for many years. And as you say, what we've done is we've added in the ability for that charity to be a charity that is supporting people impacted by the war. But I mean, the idea of giving people a welcome gift, I think, goes down well. I know we had Nicole Millman on the show a little while ago, and she was saying that it was something that when she first heard of the idea of a welcome gift, she thought, maybe sounds nice, but actually how much it was loved by the employees to actually get a gift. And I think a gift like this, which is, not just a gift for them, but a gift to give forward to a charity, especially a charity that helps people in this situation, is just a wonderful initiative. Listen, let me move the conversation on, because you were talking about the wonderful technology team in Armenia. And one of the things that I know that they are very proud of, and you are very proud of, is the fact they've developed this 3-in-1 solution that really can make a big difference. So I was wondering if you wanted to say a little bit about how we can use data to really enhance and optimize the mobility experience.
Yeah, so one of the things we've noticed during the pandemic and before the pandemic is the lack of the use of data in our industry, because information is just spread around all over the place between different platforms and different places. And it's just impossible to consolidate, and it makes it into a big pain. There are lots of promises to solve it. No one was able to say that actually this was solved for them. And that's the challenge we took on. And that's what we call this end-to-end solution, or 3-in-1 solution that delivers the value. What is this 3-in-1 solution? It's an assignment management tool. So all the tools that a mobility manager will need, from getting approvals and automating workflows and generating documents and running cost estimates. So that's the first part, assignment management tool for the mobility manager. Then vendor management tools, which give the ability to authorize vendors in one click. I authorize all the vendors rather than go as a mobility leader to each of their platforms to do so. Then we measure automatically the SLA delivery. We talked about it 2 weeks ago with Nicole, how important it is to identify in real time issues using automatic tracking of SLAs. The vendors submit their invoices on their platform and get paid. So we also handle the payment. So it's a really full end-to-end solution in terms of the vendor management. We also provide cybersecurity protection, reducing the risk of a data breach by 97% comparing to using an RMC or any other solution. And the third area is the ultimate employee experience, which we've showed many times on this show, and how we deliver support to employees that they can see everything on a single platform. What happens with my vendors, access my money, sign a document, information about the location, insights from my colleagues, the gift experience, everything. I'm not going to cover it all, but it's just putting it all. And what that does is that it puts all the data in one place. And that means that we can finally automate a lot of the processes that are now manual. and unlock the value of data. And I'll show a few examples, because today we want to focus on expense reimbursement, which is part of that experience, one area that we took on board, and we said that the way the industry is operating just does not make sense. There is no use of technology in expense reimbursement. Everything or most things are manual, and that is resulting with inconsistencies, lack of data, and slowness and a poor employee experience. So we completely transform it. And
also it's very expensive, isn't it?
I think
expense management typically.
Exactly. And it's also expensive. Thank you. Yes. And what we were able to do is to completely transform it. And I think, you've heard me enough. I should surely show something to demonstrate all those big statements I've just made. So I'll share my screen now, and let's dive into the platform and just look at an expense reimbursement. So this is the demo platform, Start Industries. I'm not going to do a full demo of the platform. We've done that in other shows. We'll do it in future shows. What I want to do today is to focus on an expense reimbursement. So one of the most popular areas on the platform, as you would expect, is money. Employees like to click on that. Go here, I can access my relocation allowance, pay later if it's relevant for me. And today I want to talk about expense reimbursement. And I can go and claim my expenses. And the way we've done it is we've completely transformed how it works, right? So today how it works is that the employee will have to spend money and then take a photo of their receipt, fill a form, or send it to a relocation consultant who will fill the form for them. A second person will check that it meets the policy, and a third one will make the payment. Normally requires additional form from the employee. This whole process can take days, sometimes even weeks, and there's a lot of manual work there. That means that there's room for mistakes, there's no use of data, and it costs money. Someone needs to pay for all this cost, and that someone is the employer. So it's inefficient, and technology can change that. So let's look how expense reimbursement looks on Benivo. I'm now logged in as the employee. I can take a photo with my phone or scan a receipt that I already took a photo of, drag it here, and
so you literally take a photo with your phone of the receipt, and then you upload it or transfer it through to this, and it's as easy as that. So that took you 10 seconds to do.
Exactly, and that's it. I'm done. The technology automatically scanned the information from the receipt, populate the form. I can adjust it if I think that something is not as it should be, but it does it for me.
So you're not having to enter anything. The technology is simply reading the characters.
Exactly. And now what will happen in the background, and I'll talk about it a bit later, is that the policy will automatically be checked by the platform. So there is an AI, artificial intelligence algorithm that now, as I just click next here, checks whether I'm eligible for that expense or not and makes a decision. And it already approved me. So the only thing that left for me is to choose how I want to get paid. I can enter my bank account detail, I can enter PayPal, I can get it to the digital wallets we talked about, and I can use account details I've entered before, or I can enter new account details. If I'm going to do that, then the technology will already check here, for example, if I'm inputting wrong information, so already automatic validating that, reducing the number of mistakes, how many back and forth we had on expense claims that we had with new hires, just because there was a missing digit or information. We eliminate all that manual work and all that frustration. I'm going to choose a payment method I used before, and what I want to do now is to do a real transfer, actually, to show that this is not just automated, it's also ultra fast. What I'm going to show now is this £9.80. I'm going to send them to a real bank account. And as that happened, I'm asked how was my experience with that vendor, right? So I use the vendor here. It's a coffee shop. So I'll say they had great coffee, and I can share my insights with other people who will relocate and use potentially the same vendors. And then the only thing that left is for me to enter a verification code. This code has now been sent to my email. I'll give it a second to arrive.
So you're doing this live now. This is absolutely live.
Yes, exactly that. And good. Quite a few emails I got in those few minutes of the show, so the emails are still loading, but I'm gonna now get the verification. I also can get it, of course, by text message, but let me enter it here.
Everybody knows what this two-factor verification is like. You wait for that text to come through, and there we go.
Good. And that's it. I'm done. The expense has been submitted. The next thing I want to do is to go into my bank account. This is not my real bank account. This is one we use for testing on the show, but let me just switch to that bank account. And I can see in the bank account, and everyone can see, hopefully there are 78.50. That's the amount of money that is currently available on the bank. And what we would like to see is that in a couple of minutes, we'll see here another transaction that just came, and that will be the real expense that we've just done. So to sum up, right, we took a completely manual process and moved it to be fully automated using technology that is called artificial intelligence and machine learning in order to automatically extract the data from a receipt, in order to automatically check the policy, and this is customizable for every corporate. So every corporate can define what is the maximum amount per day, on baggage allowance, on total spend, on travel that employee can use. And we put it into the system and automatically can decide on that. Then can reimburse via payroll or can reimburse automatically. And that means the employee is never out of pocket. I just made that expense and I got reimbursed. You know, if I'm looking back into my bank account.
And it's there. So, I mean, that literally, we did that, the whole thing from start of the submission of the receipt to payment was, I don't know, 5 minutes maximum that it took. And that's a process that historically has taken, you know, quite often 2 weeks, maybe even a month to go through the system. It saved a lot of time in terms of getting the money in the bank account. It's also saved a lot of time in terms of the people doing all the manual processing. And I comment here from Richard Majewski. What I sincerely love about Benivo is the genuine jaw-dropping innovations which truly made life easier. No padding, just great tech. So maybe Nitzan, I know you're not going to go into it in detail, but give us a rough explanation of how the technology actually works. I mean, what's behind this? So without giving any trade secrets away.
Yeah, I'm happy to give trade secrets because part of what we want to do in this show, and that's why we do all these live demos, is we want to, and that's why we have the Changemaker Network. We want to grow as an industry and push technology innovation. So if anyone needs advice how to build and how to implement it, we will give that. Even if it's a competitor, we want everyone to have that and take it to the next level. How we do it, we use a technology called OCR, optical, what is the C? Something recognition, sorry. And
optical character recognition, is it?
Yes, thank you, Brian. You see, you are the tech genius.
Who'd have thought it?
And what we do with this, what this technology does, it can read the information from the receipt and pre-populate that form. So that's the first part, right? That saves a lot of work. The second part is the AI algorithm that does two things. First, it checks the policy, whether that specific expense meets the policy rules, because that's how we make decisions, you know, manually. We just automated that and streamlined it. And the next thing that this algorithm does is that it checks that the person is the person and the bank account detail, just as we saw here as the verification process, and then automatically make the transfer using our payment global capabilities. It takes between 0 to 1 working day globally. Depends on how the employee want to get paid and in which country. We saw, of course, that it can work in 1 minute. It took from when I approve it to when the funds arrived.
So Nitzan, we've had a couple of questions come in. Is now a good time to take them?
Yes, let's talk a couple of questions. I want to make sure we have time to look into demo that I've never showed before about the capabilities for the management platform, how we add value to the mobility manager, and how we've seen now how we add value to the employee. We've seen how we reduce costs, because we haven't said it here, but let's say it loud and clear. The cost of expense reimbursement on Benivo is 0. We don't charge anything for that. It comes with any Benivo license included. And that's how some of the companies actually get the whole ROI on Benivo just from the savings they make on expense reimbursement. And of course, all the other benefits that come.
Okay, so let me just take 2 questions very quickly, so we can then go into the next bit of the demo. The first is from Jason Landrum. I think you've answered part of it. Who is actually funding? Are you pulling from the clients or the RMC? Are you integrating with them to complete the appropriate payroll reporting?
Yes, of course, we complete the payroll reporting. That's included, and the full reporting, and we will see how it works in a minute when we're going to look on the management platform. And sorry, and who funds it? Either we fund it, or the RMC fund it, or the client funds it. It's flexible. We are flexible. We'll support whatever works for the client. In most cases, it's us who fund it, or a working fund from the client.
Okay, and then the second question, then we'll move on, is from Merrily. She says, if the employee does not agree with the policy of the expense not being approved for reimbursement, how does the flow work for seeking review and a possible exception due to circumstances?
Fantastic question, and great timing. So I'm now switching from the employee view to the view that the global mobility manager has. So I'm now looking at the platform as a global mobility manager. This is my dashboard where I do my day-to-day work, when I run cost estimates, when I authorize service with vendors, when I review real-time alerts, everything I need to do, my full system of records. And I have a section here about expenses. And I can see here all the requests, exactly as Merrily said, that are exceptions, that came from the policy, and I want to review them. And I can look into the data, and I can see that this one is pending my approval, and see the details here, and see what is this receipt, and what are the details, and why was it sent for approval, for manual review, and decide whether I approve it or reject it. As simple as that. So there is.
I think the point here, Nitzan, and in fact, Ginger Merrick has asked a similar question, which is how are authorized exceptions handled? And I think the point you're saying here is that the process is there, but this can be tailored to any company, however they want to do it. So, if they want to put in one level of exception management or another level of exception management, they just need to tell us what that policy is, and then we will put that policy into the process. Is that correct?
Exactly, and I've just seen here what I've tried to demo here is an exception request that I can now review as the mobility manager, or whoever we want to be the reviewer, and decide whether I approve or reject that based on the information I have. And then the employee will automatically get that manual decision. So that's kind of the ability to automate those workflows. Let's look at what's the other value here, because there are 2 other points I want to talk about that are important and are value add when we introduce that. One of them is solving the challenge when new hires need to book travel. And I'm sure people on the call experienced that before. There's a new employee, they are joining, they still don't have a corporate card. So how do they do it? It's either the manager, right, uses their card, and that's a complete mess to reconcile. Sometimes the employee will use their own money, and then they need to remember to claim the reimbursement, and of course they're out of pocket. That's not a great solution. This expense reimbursement tool provide two value adds there. First, it automates the process, meaning that we will always collect the data, and that will help us to reconcile the actual, right? One of our challenges in the industry is that the data is not easily available. So when we are trying to do budget versus actual, not many companies are able to do that. But with Benivo, I run the cost estimate on Benivo, and all the expenses are also on Benivo. So I automatically have my budget versus actual, and I can see all the costs, the payroll cost, the vendor spend, and the expense reimbursement happening here. In addition, we can also even provide the employees with expense cards, right? So that new hire, maybe they don't want to use their own card, we can put the money on those virtual cards I talked about in the beginning of the show of how we support employees impacted by the war in Ukraine. That's another way that we are able to do that, top up that money and use expense reimbursement in that way. So the fact that everything is on a single place creates these beautiful dashboards where I can see for every employee what was the...
I'm going to put up some of those dashboards now. Here we go. Okay, so talk us about these dashboards that you're showing.
Good. And what I can show now is that I can see the total spend, the actual spend, and it's all automatic, as well as each of the cost estimates that we've done per employee and what was the actual spend. And then I can drill down and identify the difference, whether it's related to a temporary housing, whether it's related...
That's amazing, because there's nothing worse, I think, when you're a mobility manager, when you've gone out to the line, you've made a cost estimate, and then the actual comes in much higher, and the line is then sort of giving you a bit of a kicking, saying, well, why didn't you tell us it was so much higher? And this is actually giving you the data to be able to hopefully predict a lot better based on looking at what actuals are and monitoring actuals against budget all the time.
Exactly, and that allows two things to happen. First, it automatically reconciles it. That means that we don't need to spend all this manual work of getting the data from the different system and the different vendors and expense reimbursement and Concur and all of that, trying to connect that into something that actually makes sense. Many companies already either stop here or are spending a lot of manual resources just to get the actual costs. And what the next challenge is to move from actual to comparing it to the budget, as you just said, right, to the estimate. And that allows us to improve our cost estimates. And, we'll talk about it more on a future call, but one of the things we are able to do is to use actual costs to improve estimates and become more and more accurate. And if I'm further looking on those dashboards, I can look into the type of expenses we have. So I'm going to look into a dashboard of expense management, and I can drill down by country, by policy. I can give access to specific to the business units, and I can see how long on average it takes us to reimburse, how long between when the employee had the spend to when they submitted the expense, all the data about the amount, of course, that have gone out, and then how it goes per month. And using predictive analytics, what should I expect to be the spend in future months, right? And that's how we can take data and help mobility leaders really take it to the next level of using data and being champions internally, right? To be able to drive innovation, not only that the technology is great, but actually the data help them make better decisions. I'll give an example on one such decision that we've seen. For example, with excess baggage, we've seen that we might be limiting that to a fixed account, but we also capture the real spend of the employee. So how much it costs them for real and how much they get reimbursed. And we identify there with a specific use case of people moving from India to Europe and North America had spent more than the cap of the policy. And we were able to show that to the client, who were then able to adjust the policy and able to provide a better experience, identify areas where the policy was too high and they can reduce that. So really dynamically and proactively managing our policy based on the real data.
Okay, So thank you so much. I'm going to take that off screen, Nitsan, and because I think we're coming to the top of the hour now. I mean, the stuff that the team have done to help out the people impacted in Ukraine was just amazing. And the expense reimbursement technology, I mean, I just look at it as a non-tech person and just think it is so cool and awesome. And how did we manage without it before? Let me bring back onto the stage as we make our goodbyes, Julia Onslow-Cole, Elaine Sedgwick, and of course, our producer, Tally. And all that really remains is for me to thank all of you who've been on the show today, but above all, to thank all the audience for taking part and spending their time with us. We will, of course, be back again this time next week for another show when we're going to be talking about digitizing the operating model and looking at the future of mobility in a digital world. So I hope everybody's enjoyed the show, and thank you very much. And we'll see you again this time next week. So it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Elaine, Julia, Tally, Nitsan.